Hey guys, this is Frozen Things Studios here, and welcome back to another movie review. And today, I'm gonna be doing a review on one of my most anticipated movies of the year, Oppenheimer. So, Oppenheimer is the latest film from Christopher Nolan, who is a peak director, and it stars our large cast of Cillian Murphy, Matt Damon, Robert Downey Jr., Emily Blunt, Florence Pugh, Jack Quaid, Matt Rami Malek, Devon Vostick, Josh Beck, uh, uh, Josh Harnett, Dane DeHaan, Gary Oldman, Casey Affleck, Benny Safdie, Alex Wolff, Kenneth Branagh, Jason Clark. Jason Clark. I think there's a so. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot more than that. And yeah, so basically the plot for Oppenheimer, it tells the true story of Oppenheimer, of a physicist, sorry for pronouncing it wrong, named Robert J. Oppenheimer, who basically is a genius, and basically tells the story of him developing the atomic bomb, and how it can help the Americans. So when against the Germans and Japanese, during in World War II. And besides the whole concept of the atomic bomb, it also tells the story of Oppenheimer's life. Actually, yeah, this is basically a biopic, explaining his entire life, starting from when he was at college, and when he was in college, and graduated with high honors, and had a sexual relationship with Jean Tatlock, played by Florence Pugh, and basically he actually fell in love with a communist so much that Oppenheimer himself became interested into politics, although never really got into a communist party. But that doesn't really stop him from trying to develop this atomic bomb. But however, this atomic bomb, once it has been tested, this idea has created controversies, and so there is a courtroom scene, with which where but where people express different opinions on Oppenheimer's decisions, and all that stuff. So yeah, that's a lot. Maybe I might have spoiled everything, but I'm sure there's a lot more than that. So yeah, if you know me so well, y'all know that I am a Christopher Nolan fan. I rewatched some of his movies in preparation for this. Unfortunately, I couldn't review all of them. I'll actually review some of Nolan's other movies from time to time. Yeah, Oppenheimer. Of course, anything Christopher Nolan makes, I will automatically get excited for it and get hyped for it, and put it as one of my most anticipated movies of the year. And Oppenheimer is no exception, as this movie was really high in my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2023 list. Although when this movie was announced, I was kind of concerned about it being a biopic, a history film, a straight drama. I mean, don't get me wrong, biopics is one of my favorite genres of all time. Like, it's in my top five. I'm a huge fan of biopics. I think they're just really entertaining and really intriguing, and it just it tells the life of a real person. It's such a very intriguing and entertaining way that really gets me just invested in it. But although I was kind of I actually want Nolan to do more action or sci-fi movies, like big, you know, um, with big movies, like action, like entertaining movies. But I mean, and I was hoping that Christopher Nolan would do something new. But when they announced that he was actually going to be tackling World War II again, just like Dunkirk, which I wish I reviewed Dunkirk, because this and Dunkirk seemed like a double feature, but I don't know why I didn't get to review Dunkirk, because I think I just had no space. I wanted to review Inception, Tenet. I didn't even get a chance to review Interstellar, which is a Nolan film that I am passionate about. But I will review. I'm gonna review. I'm planning to review Interstellar on Christopher Nolan's birthday this July 30th. So don't worry, Interstellar fans. So I'll get to that movie. But anyways, yeah, I was hoping for like Nolan to tackle a different genre. I mean, I was a little disappointed that this was the idea Nolan went for another historical World War II movie. But I was like, okay, well, it's Nolan, so of course it's gonna be good. Well, I think my excitement level came from the cast itself. Yep, the cast, Cillian Murphy, who is pretty much the most well known. Yeah, Cillian Murphy, who is pretty much the most well known actor to be in to be in a Christopher Nolan movie as he pretty much starred as a supporting character in multiple Christopher Nolan movies like Batman Begins, Inception. Did he start Interstellar? I can't remember if he was in Interstellar. I don't remember. But let me know in the comments if he was if he was actually Interstellar. He was in Dunkirk. So yeah, like considering that he was a supporting character in most of Christopher Nolan's movies. Yeah, I mean, he's pretty much considered to be one of the most underrated actors working in Hollywood. But I was actually really happy for him when he got the lead role for this one right here, Oppenheimer. Yeah, I am really glad to see Cillian Murphy finally get the lead role, and there's a really great cast as well. Like there's just so much of it. Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man is in this, but the one that really got me fully excited into this one with this movie is Florence Pugh. Yeah, if you guys don't know, Florence Pugh is one of the actresses that I am passionate about. Yeah, because not only is she one of my celebrity crushes, but she actually does have such a great track record. Yeah, you know, like with the Little Women, with her Oscar nominated role, which she should have won the Best Supporting Actress in that year over Laura Dern from Marriage Story, in my personal opinion. Midsommar, which is underrated. Also, Fighting with My Family, the movie that introduced me to her, and even Yelena in the MCU. Yeah, which Yelena was actually the one that made me fell in love with Florence Pugh and put her as among one of the best actresses. Yeah, yeah, Yelena will always be my favorite Florence Pugh performance. I am not changing my mind on that. Yeah, and she's the reason why Thunderbolts is my most anticipated movie 2024, because we get to see Yelena as the lead, and that made me very happy. Puss in Boots: Last Wish, which she played my favorite Dreamers character ever. I'm actually starting to think about giving Puss in Boots to a 5 star, 10 out of 10. Honestly, the more I think about it, or 9 or 10, it just gets better the more I think about it. Like that movie keeps on growing on me the more I think about it. But we'll see how it is on rewatch. But I mean, Goldilocks is the best Puss in Boots character, and yeah, the best Dreamers character. But yeah, she's in this one, and although she's not the main character, yeah, it's here. And of course, well, the trailers definitely impressed me. Definitely impressed me. Yeah, like I'm so impressed with it. I am. Yeah, the trailer really made me like very impressed with it. So after I finally got to see Oppenheimer, which by the way it got the rave reviews. It got rave reviews. It's actually competing with Barbie. I'm sure you all know about the Barbenheimer trend. I'll talk more about the Barbenheimer at the end of the video. I want to talk about Oppenheimer by itself first, because I saw Oppenheimer first before Barbie. But yeah. In fact, the Barbenheimer trend is actually the reason why I became even more hyped for Barbie. Yeah. But yes. Anyways. Now that I got to see Oppenheimer, and by the way, I sadly did not watch it in IMAX because all the IMAX screens were full. But I was able to, so I watched it in a regular Dolby Atmos screening, and I'll talk about the experience in a bit. But yeah, now let's talk about my initial thoughts on Oppenheimer. Did this movie live up to the hype? Absolutely. This movie lived up to the hype. This movie just proves that Christopher Nolan can do no wrong. And yeah, Christopher. Yeah, this movie just shows how much Nolan can do no wrong because Oppenheimer is another masterpiece, I think. And and uh, and yes, and with the mixed reception of Tenet, I was actually a bit nervous about what the reviews for this one would be, but I'm actually very happy to see like finally a Christopher Nolan movie getting raved. And even though Dunkirk was raved, it's actually kind of divisive because Dunkirk is actually a pretty divisive film, but this one, so far, it's not divisive. Although there are a few critics that disliked it, but weren't a fan of it. But yeah, overall, like most people seem to be loving this movie and are saying that this is the comeback of Christopher Nolan. I wouldn't go as far as calling this Christopher Nolan's comeback because he's always done great films and he never does anything wrong. I think Nolan is a perfect director. Um, Nolan is a perfect director, but yeah, but Oppenheimer is actually slightly better than Tenet. I would say it is a better film than Nolan's previous work Tenet. Which even though I am a defender of Tenet, I will always defend the movie. I think Oppenheimer is better in my opinion. It's better in my opinion. Yeah, this movie was just excellent. And Also, is this the best Nolan movie? No, it's not. I still think Inception, Interstellar, Dark Knight, and Dark Knight Rises are better. I would put those four movies above this, but I would put this above. I would put this movie above, Tenet, Dunkirk, Memento, Prestige, all those other films. Yeah, but this is definitely my fifth favorite Nolan film. It's also one of my favorite movies of the year so far. I'd actually say it's the best made movie of the year. Yes, there are other movies that I'm more passionate about this year, but when it comes, what is the best made movie of the year, that goes to Oppenheimer. And but I will say this: if there's one thing like Oppenheimer takes the crowning jewel off, this might be my favorite biopic of all time. Yep, this like I am a huge fan of the biopic genre. I explained my love for it earlier, but I would say yes, Oppenheimer is my favorite biopic of all time. And this is my favorite biopic. And as much as I love, the musical biopics and celebrity, biopics like Marilyn Monroe, Oppenheimer is just, sorry about that if you heard this. Great. Sorry about that, man. Sorry about the background noise. I am distracted right now, but anyways, yeah. Oh my God. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I am out there right now. Sorry about that, guys. Screw the screaming kid, but yeah. I'm kind of distracted right now, but yeah. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Yeah, this is my favorite biopic. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. But yeah, now let's get into all the reasons as to why Oppenheimer is so good. Yeah, where do I even start with this? First of all, yes, you all know how much Nolan. Yeah, first of all, yes, Nolan can do no wrong. And this movie just proves it. I think this might be the best directed Nolan film and the best made Nolan film. Yeah, when it comes to Nolan, with his directing style and all that, this is probably the most impressive yet. It is shot. It is just gorgeously shot. And pretty much Nolan just really goes hard with this. Yeah, this is the most stylistic Nolan film. With Nolan film, especially with the black and white shot. The black and white shots, yeah, I love that Nolan went for that. Yeah, this movie feels like the black and white sequences makes this movie feel like a classic because because these black shots, I mean, you don't see these movies anymore. Every movie's a scar, but Nolan decided to honor the classics by using black and white as a shot in certain scenes, and yeah, that's actually why Nolan is just impressive. And this movie has the typical Christopher Nolan signature in his movies where he no, most of it, well, maybe except practical effects because his movie isn't really. Oh yes, he does use practical effects, like so much so that you'd wonder how did he do that. For example, in the end of the film, for example, in the end of the film, like they decided to show Robert and Kitty when they were old, and then they decided to pretty much show Killian Murphy and Emily Blunt as old people, and I was like, whoa! I was mind blown by that. I was like, how did Christopher Nolan do that? How did he manage to make Killian Murphy and Emily Blunt look like old people? Especially Emily Blunt, who's like in her late 30s, and she looks like a youngster. So you're wondering how did they make Emily Blunt look like an old woman? That is just impressive. Like it could be so easy to use CGI on their faces, but no, it's actually practical, and that's just so great, man. Yeah, and that's pretty much the end of the film. So yeah, you have to like go through the whole movie for that, and even even the scenes when Nolan just blows up, and yeah, even the scene with Nolan just like the explosion scenes, the atomic blast scenes, like it's all just so well done. Like there's no way that they CGI that, because Nolan never does CGI. That's why people love Nolan, because he actually makes his movies feel realistic without having the use of CGI. And yeah, so you're like wondering how did they do that. That's how impressive it is at technical wise. I still think Interstellar is Nolan's most gorgeous looking and impressive looking film, but when it comes to how Nolan directed it, this is probably his best achievements. And yeah, there is just so much others. And oh yeah, and also let's talk about, and also yeah, one thing you should know about Oppenheimer is that this movie is 3 hours long. Yep, 3 hours long. Yeah, I mean, and you can't even imagine. Biopic without having pacing issues and getting bored. But although the movie is 3 hours long, I was never concerned at all, because you can't go wrong with a Nolan movie. So of course the 3 hours will be worth it. And I gotta say, yeah, yes. Sorry to say, if you're worried about the movie being 3 hours, and you're worried that this movie is gonna be slow and boring, well, you can get your hopes up, as the 3 hour runtime is so justified, because this movie it pretty much tells, like, pretty much the reason why this movie is 3 hours, because it tells all of Oppenheimer's, all aspects of Oppenheimer's life, like they go through every detail. It's not just about this movie. This movie isn't about the bomb. It's about Oppenheimer's personal life, like what I mentioned here. How he fell in love with Jean Tatlock, and how a communist who got Oppenheimer back. Oppenheimer got back into. Got Oppenheimer into politics, and how Oppenheimer received some controversies about falling in love with communists. He gets called out for that. He gets called out for that, and also he broke up with Jean. He pretty much broke up with Jean, and now is married to Kitty Oppenheimer, played by Emily Blunt, and and also how he pretty much built the bomb, and how the bomb pretty much caused controversy so much so that there had to be a courtroom scene to decide if Oppenheimer's atomic bomb can be legal or not. Yeah, and can be legal or not. And yes, and what I love about this movie is that it's just so focused on Oppenheimer's life. It's so focused. Like, they never once in the film has Oppenheimer's has the focus on Oppenheimer's life taken away. There is not a single subplot in here, like involving involving supporting characters, and each supporting characters have less screen time, let's just say, but because it's entirely focused on the Oppenheimer's life, so each supporting characters don't get a lot of screen time, a lot as you expect, but they all get equal. Like, I can't even decide who's the main supporting character, but it's either but it's probably Emily Blunt, but I can't really decide who the main is, because I think all Emily Blunt, Robert Downey Jr., Matt Damon, and Florence Pugh's characters all get equal screen time. They all get equal amount of screen time, but but I think the supporting characters are also impressive. They're also impressive, and the actors in this movie give such an incredible performance. Killian Murphy as Killian Murphy is perfect as Lee, and one of the greatest leads. In fact, he might be the best lead in the Nolan movie since Matthew McConaughey's Joseph Cooper from Interstellar, and also Leonardo DiCaprio's Dominic Cobb from Inception. Yeah, he is that good. Yeah, and after watching this movie, I think Oppenheimer might be one of my absolute favorite historical figures. Maybe even my favorite my historical person. Because of how well they do his life. Well, maybe not. Well, I'll have to like think about it. Like, if there's someone else, I'm not really into like that much history. I mean, and also this movie does make me appreciate history more. I will say that. But yeah, also the other characters here are great as well. Matt Damon, one of my favorite actors of all time. I mean, this was Matt Damon at his best. I mean, you probably know him from The Martian and Born, which Born is his most popular role. But I think this might be his best role yet. Best role yet. And you're probably gonna notice how he's grown because when in Matt Damon's previous films, like he used to be like really short, but now he's like grown up. He's like grown into like 50s person who still like gives impressive performances. Emily Blunt, who is a perfect wife character, and she's and I love the tragedy of her character. You'd feel so bad for her character, especially when she's just a stressed mother, who has to like just work, who has to take care of the household while Oppenheimer is working on this. While Oppenheimer is doing his job, and you really feel bad for her. Like she just can't catch a break, and you really want to just feel there for her, be there for her. I also do love that Jack Way is in this, like who played the villain in Scream 5. Kenneth Branagh, probably my favorite. This is probably Kenneth Branagh at his best, to be honest. Well, actually, no wait, scratches. I still think Andrew Sator is Kenneth Branagh's best role, but this is close. This does come close. And there's just so many great casts. It's really hard for me to even memorize every single one who's in this film, but everyone is great. No one gets left behind. But the two standouts for me, the two best characters of the movie, are maybe I might be saying this as someone who has a huge MCU bias, but Florence Pugh and Robert Downey Jr. You have two MCU cast members in this, and they're both they both outshine everyone else in this. Yeah, a lot of people from the reviews, a lot of people say that Robert Downey Jr. is Oscar worthy, and this is his best MCU role. And yeah, Robert Downey Jr. seems to be the fan favorite cast member in this movie, and I actually agree that Robert Downey Jr. deserves a Best Supporting Actor, just like how Cillian Murphy deserves an Oscar for Best Actor. Yeah, Robert Downey Jr. Fingers crossed that he gets an Oscar nomination. He deserves to be. Is he better in this than Iron Man? No. I mean, Iron Man will always be a signature role, but considering that Robert Downey Jr. doesn't really have the best track record for his other roles, like especially with Too Little, even like, and most of his other roles are forgettable. Like, but the only impressive role he was in that I remember before this one, like impressive non-Iron Man role, is Sherlock Holmes. But yeah, I think that this is the best MCU role from Robert Downey Jr. He just gives us such a great performance, and I love that I love that every single black and white scene would have Robert Downey Jr.'s character in it. Yeah, Robert Downey Jr. pretty much resembles the black and white aspects of it all. Black and white aspects of it all, and of course, of course, Florence Pugh's Jean Tatlock is the number one best character in the film, as expected, because Jean Tatlock is just amazing. Just an amazing actress. And since so yeah, every time an actress I'm passionate about joins a movie, they're already my favorite character. Well, maybe except for a few stuff like Arcane when Haley Steinfeld, an actress I'm passionate about, wasn't the best character in the show. Because since she was overshadowed by Jinx and Caitlyn, but yeah, but in this one, Florence Pugh does live up to the hype. Does she get the best amount of screen time? No, but she doesn't have to because this is not about Jean Tatlock. This is about Robert Oppenheimer. So you should pretty much respect the male. So don't just keep saying, oh, how come the women don't get enough screen time, even though it's about a male character. I wanna mention this user, but I think y'all know which user I'm referring to. I just don't want him to just whatever. But yeah, I don't mind Jean Tatlock not getting a lot of screen time. I mean, she actually does have more screen time than I thought. She even appears early on in the film, basically she gets her time to shine in the first act, and she gets at least one scene in she got two scenes in the second act. She's basically there as Oppenheimer's first love interest before he met Kitty Heimer, and and we see both Oppenheimer and Jean Tatlock. Great. Sorry about guys. I don't know why, but noisy kids that just keeps trying to get in my way. But oh well. But don't worry, I'm almost done with the review. Kind of. Don't worry, I'm almost there with my review. But yeah, just a few more points to go. Basically, yeah, Oppenheimer and Jean have sex, and then they both get into an argument, and you really feel bad for them. Jean Tatlock is basically the most tragic character in this movie. Yeah, yeah. If you think that Oppenheimer is tragic, well, Jean is Jean makes him not tragic at all, because Jean just suffers a lot in this movie. Jean does, suffer a lot in this movie. She suffers, a poor relationship with Oppenheimer, and she really does take. She got into drugs later on in the film. Yeah, you see that she actually got into drugs, and yeah, you really feel bad for her. And something really happens to her that's a major spoiler. I don't want to spoil it for you. You just go see the movie for yourself. Jean is a very tragic character, and you really feel bad for her. And also by the way, Jean is actually the one who embodies the R-ratedness of the film. And yes, if you guys don't know, Oppenheimer is R-rated, and this is the first R-rated Christopher Nolan movie in years. The last time a Nolan movie was rated R was Insomnia, which is one of Nolan's most underappreciated films. Yes, yes, it's one of the lighter R-rated movies. It's not that heavy into R-rated, but every time Jean shows up in the film, yeah, you're gonna see some R-rated aspects to it. Yeah, there's a lot of swearing, there's a lot of F words, but Jean is but pretty much according to the MPA, the main reason as to why this movie is R-rated is because of the sexual scenes. Jean Tatlock goes on full naked in this. Yeah, there were a couple of scenes, pretty much 3 scenes where we see Jean's full naked body. I love that Florence Pugh did that. Yeah, I mean, I actually really love it when they showed Florence Pugh's full naked body. That's not the first time I saw that. Yeah, and yes, I remember, I haven't forgot. Yeah, that kind of reminded me on how we saw Margot Robbie's full naked body in both Babylon and Wolf of Wall Street. But yeah, honestly, a certain sex scene with Jean and Oppenheimer is one of my favorite scenes in the film. Basically, my personal favorite scene in the film was when the Oppenheimer's lawyers were asking him to testify about his relationship with Jean Tatlock as dating a communist. And then we see Katie Oppenheimer pretty much looking into this imagination of Jean having sex with Oppenheimer, and you see, yeah, that is my personal favorite scene in the film. Yeah, yeah, I mentioned drugs earlier. Yeah, yeah, she does take up drugs, and yeah, this movie does have the balls to include that. Yeah, um, include that. And that's one thing I admire about this movie. And yeah, is there anything else I gotta say? Besides the Gene stuff in this movie. Oh yeah. Also, yes, I was never bored with this movie. Yeah, there was usually, normally in drama movies there would be some boring scenes here, but this movie was never boring once. So yeah, yes, maybe some may get bored with this. It's not really like, but to me personally, I was never bored. I think, and the reason as to why Oppenheimer is not boring is all thanks to the ambition of this movie. This, like Christopher Nolan knows how to make his movies big, ambitious, and this is considered to be Nolan's biggest film yet. It's only considered the biggest just by the fact that it has the biggest cast and the longest runtime of 3 hours. Not sure. Besides those two, I'm not quite sure if I would personally call this the biggest Nolan film because it does have a mix of a big and small scale. The small scale being just that it's not very action heavy; it's more drama heavy. But yeah, never have I seen a biopic this huge. Yeah, like biopics would always go small scale, but this one just goes heavy into it. It goes full scale to it. Yeah, it goes big into it. Big into it. Yeah. And yes, this is might be the darkest one, the darkest Nolan films, or at least one of them. Yes, this movie really tackles the dark aspects of Oppenheimer, and especially with Jean Tatlock. And especially with Jean Tatlock's character. Yeah, she's probably like the darkest character in the film. Yeah, they really went dark with this movie, and Florence Pugh gives the best performance of the cast in my opinion. In fact, this might be her best non-MC performance. I still think Yelena is my favorite Florence Pugh performance, but this one is close, and I could see people calling this Florence Pugh's best role, and I wouldn't mind that because Florence Pugh was just excellent in this, and yeah. What else is there to say? Oh yeah, also I can't forget Ludwig Göransson's score. Now it's not my favorite score from his. I prefer his score in Tenet and the Black Panther duology, but once again, Göransson gives gives such a very impressive score that prevents the movie from being boring. And yes, that's probably one of the reasons as to why score is my favorite aspect in film, because one of my favorite aspects, though characters will always be my favorite aspect in film, like always, but usually the score would prevent the movie from being boring. So yeah, that's pretty much one thing with films like Interstellar, a film that could have been boring if it wasn't for Hans Zimmer's impressive score, which is my favorite Hans Zimmer score, by the way. Yeah, it's just beautiful and emotional. Yeah. And yes, the scores, it's more than they're more than just music. They help you. They help you. Pretty much. Just the score pretty much sets up the tone and mood of the movie. Like how Interstellar's score makes it feel emotional because of it makes you cry. But this one, the scoring Inception is basically it sets up the mood of darkness, the dark tone. The score makes this movie dark and just daring. And yes, and by the way, I remember reading some. I remember reading some early test screening reactions calling this a horror movie. Like it was secretly a Christopher Nolan horror movie. And to be honest, I can see where they're coming from. I think they're right. Yes, no, it's not a straight horror movie, like it's scary and stuff. The reason why this movie is scary is that it actually makes you fear today's humanity. It actually, that's actually one of the more impressive things about the movie is that it makes you fear today's humanity. Like, it makes you fear society today because, of like, a lot of the daring aspects that, Nolan touches on some, Nolan touches upon the toxicity of politics or society and stuff, and you can clearly see Nolan's interest in politics. As he was able to tackle the courtroom scene, which I feel like he might have taken inspiration from 12 Angry Men when it comes to the courtroom scene. When it comes to the courtroom scene, and yeah, as you can tell, Christopher Nolan loves to make his movies based inspired by some of his favorite films without ripping them off, which is one of the more impressive things about Nolan. And yeah, so once again, Nolan just shows how he's the king of storytelling. Yeah, not only is this it's not just a biopic about Oppenheimer's bomb atomic bomb and and his personal life, but this also tackles heavy themes of political dynasties, communisms, and also and also how it also explains how bad humanity is today, how toxic humanity is today, and this movie tackles humanity in such a very daring way that really just shows the I don't know what the word is to use, the negativity of humanity, but something negative. But I can't really describe that word. I can't really pinpoint what kind of word that is. But yeah, like, like, like he's able to recapture, the toxicity of humanity, like why humanity is just really bad these days, why society is terrible, and it's such a daring way, and also, and even some of the political stuff, when it comes to political aspects, it's very complicated. And yes, once again, Nolan just touches on complexity. There were a few moments where I was confused, but I knew that it was just Nolan doing it on purpose. Nolan just telling you, hey, pay attention. This is not just about the development of the bomb. This goes way beyond that. And so, while I was confused by some things, just and I tried my best to pay attention, but yeah, I'll have to rewatch this someday to be able to fully understand more. Not in theaters because there's like so many other movies to watch. So I'll probably like rewatch this on like digital, something like that. So hopefully this movie will come to digital like maybe by late August or early September. It depends. Maybe late August, most likely. So yeah. What else is there to say? Oh, oh yes, and is there anything else? So yeah, I guess that's it. So overall, Oppenheimer is one of Christopher Nolan's most impressive film yet. Christopher Nolan is able to is able to create the greatest biopic ever made. Period. Yes, it's not my favorite film from Nolan, but I'd say it's one of his best made films. If one of his best directed films, it's this is Christopher Nolan's most daring and risky film yet. He is able to make Oppenheimer one of my favorite historical figures yet, and he's able to have such great developed supporting characters. Jean is my new favorite Christopher Nolan character. Like I should have mentioned that. Yeah, even dethroning Ariana and Joker. I'm not kidding you. And it's able to tackle complex themes of political dynasties, communisms, abusive relationships, and the darkness of humanity, in such a like terrifying and disturbing way that really makes you fear humanity. That really makes you look at humanity at a different perspective. Yeah, and yes, it's certainly one of my favorite films of the year so far, and probably the best made film of the year. So yeah, maybe on rewatch this could go higher up in my Christopher Nolan ranking list. So yeah, and yeah, I definitely encourage you to watch this movie. There are some people who say that this movie might bomb, but because of due to competition with Barbie. Yes, don't get me wrong. I am hyped for Barbie. I'm seeing Barbie tomorrow. I actually just bought my tickets for it. I just bought my tickets for Barbie like right after coming out of Oppenheimer, and yeah, I just bought my tickets for it. And I'm seeing it tomorrow, and I will definitely review it. So yeah, but and also some of you may be more excited for Barbie than on Oppenheimer. Like that's okay. That's actually okay if you're more excited for Barbie and Oppenheimer. Each their own. Like both movies seem like they're getting on just well. There's no like toxic fights, unlike Marvel versus DC and Disney versus Dreamers, which are probably two of the most toxic competitions ever. But yeah, like they're both equally critically acclaimed, and they both have such um, impressive directors. Christopher Nolan and Greta Gerwig are both in my favorite, absolute favorite directors list. So yeah, with that said, I'm gonna give Oppenheimer easily a 10 out of 10. So for my review of Oppenheimer, what is your opinion of this movie? Is this your favorite movie of the year? Is this your favorite Christopher Nolan movie? Is this? Would you agree with me on my opinion that this is the best biopic movie ever made? Or is this your cup of? Is this was this not your cup of tea? And question to you all: which movie are you seeing first, Oppenheimer or Barbie? So yeah, comment down below, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and stay tuned for my review of the two Greta Gerwig movies leading up to Barbie, Lady Bird and Little Women. So yeah, and also yeah, stay tuned for my review of Barbie after that. So yeah, bye guys.